How will you get help if you're afraid to bring to the surface some of the pain that you've gone through? That was such a gut punch question, but it is also really the key of healing and recovery.
Oh yes. So get it out there. Heal yourself
Yeah,
by just getting it out there. That's it. Because you're healing and you're using or serving others with the experiences that you've got by
yeah,
giving them some tools and some tips of how did you get here? How
yeah.
did you get from desperation and hopelessness to here? Yes, I'm a doctor of nursing practice today. Yes, I have Bold Publishing. Yes, I'm in Forbes magazine and all these different wonderful platforms to share my message. But if I didn't decide to share my story, to
Yeah,
distribute my book around the
yeah,
world, or to give people the tips and the tools that I've learned, then it would be all be in vain.
yeah.
So, I'm all of those things because I'm standing on my story today. I
So
didn't sit
beautiful.
down and hide, or I didn't, run and hide and say, "Oh, look at me, I'm a victim."
Yeah.
No, I say I'm victorious because
Victorious.
despite those things that I've gone through, here I am today,
Yeah.
standing on my story with
Standing on your story.
confidence and realizing that I'm giving life and giving hope and inspiration to others.
This is Live Talk Radio. Hello and welcome to this episode of Life Talk Radio. I am your host, Dana LeBlanc, and today is going to be an outstanding episode for a couple of reasons, because we have a fantastic guest that I'm going to introduce here in just a moment, but also we have some amazing, amazing content. I want you to really lean in and pay attention to what we're talking about today, because it's going to help you and it's going to bring value to your life. So today, I am super, super excited. I'm over the top excited because Life Talk Radio is in New York, guys. That's right. We are in New York. Well, we're not physically in New York, but my guest today is all the way in New York. And I'm going to introduce her in just a moment. But first, I want to say that if Life Talk Radio is adding valuable structure or valuable strategies to your life, we want to hear about that, because at the end of the day, it's really about our listeners. It's always about you. And we want to bring you content that is going to be useful and that's going to be edifying and that's going to be challenging to help you get to the next level of your life. So we are in the house with Dr. Denise Nicholson. I am so glad that you are here, sis. Say hello to everybody.
Hello, everyone. I am so glad to be here. Thank you for having me, Dana.
Oh, you're so welcome. I cannot believe that we got someone of her caliber to be on the show. She is outstanding. I just want to read a couple things about Denise before we get started, because her experience and her approach to life is so refreshing and it's so beautiful. And we're going to talk about that here later in the show. But Dr. Denise Nicholson is a wife of 26 years. She is a mother. She's a grandmother. But check this out, guys. She is a world-renowned TEDx speaker. She's also Amazon's #1 bestseller from Jamaica. Denise has also partnered with Forbes Council magazine to tackle topics like mental health and wealth for men and women in business. She's also the host of her very own podcast titled Bold Book of the Day, where she features up-and-coming authors and provides them with a global platform to release their own books. But not only that, she is also an author. We said she's #1 author. She just recently released her own personal book, excuse me, when Selah, when Mommy Left for Foreign. Denise, it's so good to have you on the show.
I'm happy to be here. It sounds like a total different person that you're speaking of when I'm listening in. I'm like, oh my God, who's that?
No, it's all you, sis. It's all you. I tell you, ever since I met you, and we've had the pleasure of knowing each other now for less than a year. It's been maybe 6 months, but this lady, this woman, has been really inspirational in my life, in the goals that I want to accomplish, and showing how that you can leverage your story. And today we're talking about leveraging your personal story for success. And she is a master at that. She has a philosophy that is remarkable, and she is showing people how to be successful and how to stand on your personal story. And Denise, before we really dive into that, why don't you just kind of start us from the beginning of your journey? Let's hear about that.
Oh my goodness, the beginning? Okay, I love to share my story. And starting at the beginning, it's a good contrast from where I started and where I am today.
Yeah.
When I was 3 years old, my mother, who had the foresight of standing up for opportunity and grasping opportunity when you get it. And
Yep.
that's another thing I want to always put out there, that when you get an opportunity, go for it.
Yeah.
Don't try to see if everything lines up. Just make that move as quickly as possible. Make that decision to take that opportunity. So anyway,
Yeah.
my mother decided to take that opportunity, and the opportunity was for her to go to the United States. And it was a big deal at the time. Many young people were taking the opportunity to go abroad. We're from Jamaica, West Indies, and
Yeah.
at the time it was really tough. So my mother wanted more opportunities for her and her children, and so she left me and my siblings. It was 5 of us, and she left and went to foreign. And I was
Now,
3 years
just
old,
to clarify,
so
because a
yes.
lot of the listeners that are watching today, you say foreign, and they're not really sure of what foreign is. Can you tell us what did you mean by foreign, and then is that kind of something that's native to where you are from?
So foreign is just the word foreign, like a foreign country,
Like a foreign country.
land. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay.
for us in Jamaica, we say foreign.
Okay.
It's still the same meaning, a foreign country or a foreign land.
Yeah.
So my mom left for foreign. And so I was 3 years old. I didn't quite understand that she was going to be gone for a long time. I'm used to
Right.
having my mother around. And so when I didn't see her, I started to worry. Where's my mother? What's going on? When is she coming back?
Of course.
And yeah, it felt really. I can remember even now, I was always looking through the window to see her come back. It felt really bad. Like
Wow.
something happened and I
Yeah.
wasn't quite sure. So I started asking the adults around me
Yeah.
what's going on. And I asked my dad, Daddy, where's mommy? And he told me, Mommy soon come. She's gone to foreign. She soon come.
She soon come. That's so. It's actually thought provoking because you're 3 years old and the anchor in your life. I mean, most of the time, yeah, we have a relationship with both our moms and dads. Sometimes we're, daddy's kids, or sometimes we're mommy's kids. But the anchor of your life left you at the age of 3 years old. I can't even imagine the responsibility and the whirlwind or the tailspin that put you in as a child, and then being told that she's going to come soon, and she doesn't show up. I can only imagine what that must have been for you.
It felt devastating. So if anyone listening has ever had something taken away from you, or maybe a loved one just removed from your life so quickly, even if you weren't young,
Yeah.
that same feeling that you get of abandonment, or oh my goodness, something is not finished.
Right.
That's how I felt at 3 years old.
Yeah.
So I just kept looking for her. I looked around for her everywhere. And we
Yeah.
used to play hide and seek a lot. And so I used to look for her as if we were playing that game, and I couldn't find her. I
Yeah.
was looking everywhere. Under the bed, we had a big closet. They call it a wardrobe.
Yeah.
And I looked in the wardrobe several times. I looked every single where I thought she would hide.
Wow.
And I just couldn't find her. So
I'm
You
sorry to
know,
hear that.
it was devastating, pretty
Yeah.
devastating for me.
Okay. So let's continue that journey because you're 3 years old. You have siblings, you have family around you. But again, one of the most important people of your life, she left, and you're 3 years old. Is there anything else that happened in that time of your life that really added to the weight of her absence?
One of the most significant thing that happened during that time was approximately 6 weeks later, my father died. He was in a car accident and he died.
Oh.
And so a number of things happened. My father left.
Mm.
My father died. And then I remember being molested. And I also remember my great grandmother, which is my grandfather's mother.
Mm.
She came and she said, you know what? I'm going to take her to live with me.
Yeah.
I don't know why my great grandmother decided to choose me, but choosing me to come and live with her or to go and live with her was one of the best things that could have ever happened to me.
Yeah, yeah. Can I just talk about that just for a moment? I mean, gosh, you're a 3 year old child. You don't have the capacity to deal with very adult situations and emotions that you're dealing with. And you and I have talked about this before. That that age between the ages of 1 and 5 are such formative years for people. And a lot of times, what we are dealing with as adults really it stems from experiences that we've had when we were a child that we didn't know how to reconcile in our thoughts and in our emotions, and we begin to develop these traits and these mindsets as children that really they just expand. The older that we get, the deeper that they go. And so here you are, you're 3 years old, your mother has left for the States, and then your father is tragically killed in a car wreck 6 weeks later. You're dealing with a lot of heavy stuff.
Yes, a lot of stuff. And compounding that issue, I was molested. And I
Oh,
remember I
geez.
was very young when this happened. And I remember it like it was yesterday. And I confirmed the age because I spoke to one of my aunt who I told her the scene and the scenario of what happened. And she was like, oh my goodness, I remember
Oh,
you were so young. You were a baby. And
yeah.
so compounding the issue was that I had this negative thing that happened to me. And
Mm,
so I started to tell myself a lot of negative things. And I
right.
don't know if I knew they were negative. I just thought they were real for me.
Right.
Being that okay, I don't have any parents. And I went to live with my great grandmother and spend maybe a year with her and
Yeah.
then moved to another home, then moved to another home, then moved to another home. And by the time I was 6 years old, I lived in six different homes.
Wow. 6 years
So
old, six
those
different homes.
so I
Wow.
started to tell myself, nobody wants me,
Yeah.
nobody loves me, I have no parents, no mother, and nobody cares.
Wow.
And those things I repeated. And one of the things that I've learned while I'm healing or on my healing journey, because I
Yeah.
feel like healing is continuous, but I feel very healed also.
Mm,
And a part of while I'm healing, I realize that negative thoughts really either make you or break you.
yeah.
It is the most powerful thing on earth,
Right.
and the it is the most powerful thing on earth, negative thoughts, and it is also the most powerful thing that you can go through to change your life.
Right.
So
Right.
it can either make you very broken
Mhm.
or give you the strength to be the most powerful person you want to be.
Right. And you know what that is? You said powerful. And it is very powerful. It's strong because really your philosophy is finding or helping others find the ability. And you've done this yourself, but finding the ability to stand on your story, both good and bad, because it shapes you. And when when you're able to get to that place of health and healing, you're able to look back and say, you know what? maybe I would have changed some things, maybe I wouldn't have changed some things, but it's the things that I faced and the challenges that I went through that helped me to be the whole person that I am today. And you have really done that. And one of the things that I'm really admired of you of is that your ability to embrace your story, every part of your story. Would you say that that has been one of the keys to your healing process is really embracing all of it?
Yes, I would attribute the the fact that I started to share my story, or the fact that I started to embrace my story, as one of the most important healing aspects of my life. I remember that I thought I was the only person that bad things happened to. I was the only
Right.
one that didn't have both parents, because even though there were a lot of children in my school that had their parents, one of the family members in foreign, they either had the father or a mother.
Right.
So I still thought that I'm the only one with no parents.
Right.
And so, embracing the fact that I had great people to take care of me, eventually I did, helped me.
Right.
And telling myself positive things helped me.
Yeah.
Also, putting myself in position to grow and to heal, that's what's the big difference, because I couldn't have decided to embrace my story if I wasn't in the rooms that shared with me how important every aspect of my life was.
Yeah.
Everything that I've been through.
Yeah.
Everything is important because it all works for your good, especially if you are going through the process of healing. If you believe that there's something bigger for you to do, or there's a bigger purpose for your
For
life,
sure.
then you will take the steps that you need to heal, because bad things happen, and the things that happen to me, yes, they are bad, but there's so many people that have gone through worse.
Yeah.
And so, embrace what you can, take the
Yeah.
good, and stand on your story.
You know what? That's so beautiful, and I'm going to tell you why. Because oftentimes, yes, we all do. We go through things, or we experience things, should I say? And some of those things are terrible. They're detrimental. They are hurtful. But the thing that I have found, and you let me know if you agree with this. There is always beauty in the ashes. Somewhere in the ashes, somewhere in the garden of weeds and dandelions, there is always a rose or a flower that we can find even in those tough times. There is things that happen. And so my point is this, is I believe what I hear you say is that, yes, you had these horrific things happen to you. You were molested. Your mother left you when you were 3 years old. Your father dies tragically in a car wreck when you're 3 years old. But there were people around you that helped you see the beauty and the normalities of life, of love, communication, community. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Yes, it's so it's so important to embrace the people in the community, because I was tragically, taken, well, not tragically, but I was going from home to home to home, and
Yeah.
I don't want to say tragically, because I went to different family members' homes, but every time I went to different family members' home, even though they were giving me their best and
Yeah.
and sharing everything with me, I still felt inside deeply abandoned.
Yeah.
And so, whatever you're going through, no matter what's going on with you, you may have been feeling really embarrassed. You may be feeling sad. You may be feeling regret. You may be feeling shame because of what your experience is.
Right.
But whatever you've gone through, if you learn to talk to someone about it, just get it outside of you so that
Right.
you can hear what it sounds like,
Right.
just to say what it is that's ruminating in your head.
Right.
Just share those stories, because sharing your story is a path to healing.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter who you share it with in the beginning. Of course, I'm going to recommend that you start, going through getting therapy.
Yeah.
Because there are tips and tools that we can get from a professional that a layperson would not be able to give us to help us.
Absolutely.
But beginning to share your story is the path of the beginning of the healing path. So
Yeah.
I started to share my story, and when I started to share my story, I realized that, oh my goodness, I'm not the only person that this thing has happened to.
Right.
I'm not the only person that lost a parent. I'm not the
Right.
only person that mother left. I'm not the only person that's been molested. I'm not the only person that trauma happens to.
Right.
And so when I listen to other people, I realized, oh my goodness, some people have it far worse than me. And I'm grateful, that I'm able to speak with them and give them some light and give them some hope.
Yeah. And there's a progression there. So, what you're saying is, connecting with your story is one of the foundational things of your healing process. But it's funny because, and it's not funny, it's just kind of a term that I'm using, but it's powerful how that when you are able to connect with your story and heal from your story and tell your story, other people begin to heal in their circumstances as well. And so it really is giving back. There's a powerful scripture in the Bible that says that once you are strengthened, then you reach back and you strengthen your brother, right? And that's kind of that definition is, finding the ability to share your story, talk about your story, get it out, because there's value in the story. But more than the value, there's your healing properties by sharing and talking about your story.
Oh yes, science has proven that there are
Yeah.
healing properties
Yeah.
in sharing your story. I read an article recently about how soldiers who were telling their story just started to share their story. They had problems sleeping and different, post-traumatic stress disorders.
Yeah.
And after sharing their story, even soldiers that have shared their story after the first time were able to go home and report back a good night's sleep.
Yeah, yeah.
So sharing your story does have healing properties.
That's so awesome. That's so awesome. So let's progress a little bit, because like I said, there's always beauty, even among the ashes. There's beauty. There's beautiful things. And one of the things that you've talked about that I've heard you talk about that's in your book even is the experience that you had with your grandmother and your great grandmother after the loss of your parents. And man, for me, hearing those stories, Denise, it just warmed my heart, and I saw the grace and the mercy of God in your life through those experiences. Why don't you talk about your grandmother just for a moment, and then we're going to talk about your great grandmother Diddy, who I feel like I know and I adore, but I want you to talk about that experience just for a moment, because it's important for the listeners to see that there is always a beautiful place, even in the ugly places.
Oh yes. My grandmother, my mother's mother, and uh, my father's mother, they were really great support, great help.
Yeah.
When my mother left, she left me with her mother and father. And my grandmother, she's an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
She had one of the best bakeries in the town. She had a business that, kept helping the community. She had all kinds of ground provisions that she sold and
Right.
gave away.
Right.
And she was a wonderful, role model.
Yeah.
That's my grandmother.
Yeah.
And I love her, love her, love her dearly. And then I had my great grandmother who came and said, okay, you're struggling. And this was probably maybe a year after my father died. My great grandmother said, she shared with my grandmother that it looks like she's struggling with all these children around. She'll take one, and that was me.
Yeah.
When I went to live with Diddy, which is my great grandmother, she's just amazing. She's super kind,
Yeah.
a disciplinarian. She taught me about to have faith and to be strong in my faith.
Yeah.
And to love people and to be very kind.
Yeah,
She's a
yeah.
wonderful, wonderful role model, my great grandmother Diddy.
Yeah.
And one of the
Before you go
stories
there,
that I remember,
before you
yes.
go there, I want to talk about the experience though, with your grandmother, because you said some things in one of your podcasts that I just it was like it melted my heart. But I want to give some context to it. So when your grandmother, your mother's mom, came to, or you went to live with her, talk about that experience. How many people were there in the home?
Oh, yeah.
And talk about kind of the environment that was there, and then let's lead up to you going with your grandmother Diddy, because there's a contrast there, right? And that contrast has really played a pivotal role in your life. So kind of talk about what it was like to live with your grandmother first.
So when my mother left, she left her five children with her parents, her mother and father.
Yeah,
And I'm one of the five. When
yeah.
my mother left, she also left with a sister. And that sister had seven children. And
Oh,
those children were also left in the same home with
I.
my grandmother. So it was those children. And then I had another aunt who had died, I think maybe a year before Auntie Lam was had a stroke or something. I
Yeah.
remember I was very young, but I saw it happening, so I remember.
Oh,
So then those children also, all of us, almost 10 children lived in one house.
wow.
And we all, the big ones helped to take care of the younger ones, and they all had different roles to play and responsibilities in the home. And so it was a busy home. Then my great grandmother Diddy came and said, "You know what? This is a lot. I'll take one," which was me. Now I left that busy home
You
with
won the
my
family
siblings.
lottery.
And I went to live with my great grandmother Diddy. Now it was just the two of us. When
Yeah.
I left that, home of just constant communication and constant movement, and like an orchestra, very different, but it was a lot of people, but it was still very loud,
Yeah,
very
yeah,
rich. I
yeah.
don't want to use the word loud because it was very rich. And so then I
Would
went to
chaotic be a
live.
good word to use?
Which one?
Chaotic.
Chaotic. I agree with that. And so then I went to live with my great grandmother Diddy, and it was just the two of us.
Yeah. And you know what?
And
You said this, and I'm sorry if I keep cutting you off, but I there's so many things that I want to tag in on that you've experienced. And so one of the things that you said that you felt when you went to live with your great grandmother Diddy is that when you got there, it was just you and her. And one of the things that you remember most is that you felt heard. Your voice had a voice.
yes. So even for simple decisions in my big house, when I lived with my grandmother with all the children, breakfast is served, you go and have breakfast, and then
Right.
you move on to whatever is next.
Right.
In this house, it was, what do you want for breakfast?
Aw. And you're probably thinking, "Oh my gosh, I have a choice."
Yes.
She wants to
Yes.
know.
And this was very touching, and I didn't realize how touching it was until way later.
Yeah.
She would ask me what you wanted for breakfast and what you want for dinner and whatever. I had a voice.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
She spent time finding out what was important to me,
Yeah.
and that was really, really, really great. Those things helped me to be the woman I am today.
That's so
You know,
beautiful.
even having the kind of conversations with my own grandchildren to find out what's important to them.
Yeah.
What do you want? And
Right.
seeing how I can facilitate them to achieve their goals.
Right.
So that's just one of the best things that happened to me. And that's also what I want to point out. Even though I lost my parents and lost the lottery from living it with my bunch of cousins and my siblings,
Yeah.
I went into a home that curated love
Oh, that's
and
beautiful.
support
That's
and
beautiful.
that your voice is important.
Yeah. You know what? You had an experience that you talk about in your book, Selah, when mommy left for foreign. And we're going to talk about that book here in just a moment. But you had an experience that I thought was so beautiful and so worth hearing. And you talked about this dress that you had there at your grandma Diddy's house, and something happened to that dress. I want you to talk about that a little bit, and because there's a couple of really strong life lessons in that story that I believe that you are still benefiting and using those life lessons even still today. Talk about that story about the dress.
Oh my goodness. So I love clothes and I have a very a very strong relationship with fashion. And that started when I was very young.
Yeah.
So when I was leaving my grandmother's home to go to great grandmother's home, I brought my favorite dress. And it was kind of getting tight. But I wore it almost every day. I
Yeah.
wore it as long as I could, as often as I could. And I remember we lived in this yard and it had mango trees, and I could climb the mango trees, but I wasn't allowed to go too far up in the tree
Right.
because I was young. I was like, I think I was about 4.5 by the time I went to live but at this time when this happened.
Right.
And so I'm climbing the mango tree. There's a really nice yellowish with orange juicy mango up in the tree, and I see it and it looks like it's close, but the further I go up in the tree, the further I see that it is.
Yeah.
Anyway, I got the mango, and as I'm coming down from that mango tree, I hear my grandmother calling out for me,
Here
my
she
great grandmother
comes.
calling out for me. And it startled me, and I slipped and fell out the tree, bust
Right.
my head open, blood everywhere, especially on my dress.
Wow.
And
Your
my great
favorite
grandmother
dress.
come
Your
and
favorite dress.
my favorite dress. And my great grandmother come and she picks me up, she cleans me up. She said, "Your mango is safe. It's good. Your mango is safe." And I'm still crying. She's stopped the blood, and I'm still crying. And she said, "You know, let me help you change your dress and get cleaned up." And even after cleaning up, I was still crying. She said, "Why are you still crying? You saved your mango. You're okay. Why are you still crying?" And I said, "Look at my dress. I ruined my favorite dress." And she said, "If you don't ruin your favorite dress, how are you gonna get a new one?"
That's, you know what I'm telling you, that story is so powerful, and people can connect with it. I love, the example or the messages that I got from that personally is, the things that we reach for in life, sometimes they seem like they're so far out of reach, but you really have to have it within yourself to climb, climb, climb. It doesn't matter how high it is, you reach for that goal. And you had a goal with that mango and you fail. And sometimes we do. We fall and we fail, when reaching our goals. But you tried, right? You tried. And then another thing that you talked about is, that you were so connected to that dress, and your grandmother said to you, "How are you going to get a new dress if you don't mess up this dress?" And sometimes, man, in life, we really got to let go of the things that we're so attached to in order to make room for more that God has for
Yes.
us or that life has for us. Man, that's so powerful, Denise.
Yes, because we try to hold on to the things that we know that feel safe.
Right.
Even when, it's not quite working out. That dress was tight,
Yeah.
okay? For a long time. So even when things are not quite working out, we try to hold on to it because that's all you know.
Right.
But if you just let go, God has
Right.
more for you and
Right.
will multiply your blessings and give you bigger and better things.
Right, right. Yeah, it's there's a principle behind that. You out with the old and in with the new. And sometimes, yeah, life is like, let it go. God's like, let it go. And we can't move to the next thing because we're stuck in an experience. We're stuck in our past, and we cannot progress in life because of those very reasons. And so you learned through that of how to relinquish certain things. Before we move into some more of your experience and what you're doing today, talk a little bit more about your story. And so now catch us up to you're now a young lady, right? And you've had the opportunity to come to foreign yourself. Talk about that before we move on.
So I was 13 years old, and I got a telegram that my mother is now passed. She died. She was in a car accident, and she died immediately. And so in the telegram, it was just telling us that my mother passed, and my aunt said, you guys can go to your mother's funeral. This had been I was 13 years old. My mother left when I was 3. This has been 10 years since I haven't seen my mother.
Wow.
And the last letter I had from her was me writing her a long, I think 6-page letter, just to say, I'm disappointed. You didn't do this. Look how many years. And just complaining and complaining and complaining. Not seeing that she is doing her best and acknowledging her for trying and all the hard work that she was doing. I was just complaining and complaining and complaining.
Yeah.
And that really hit me hard when I found out that she died, because I was like, goodness gracious,
I'm so sorry.
The last communication was of me complaining. But I also received a wonderful letter from her right before she passed.
Oh, beautiful.
Addressing the things that I addressed in that letter. And one of them was to read my Bible and remember to honor my parents.
Yeah.
Because it's a commandment of God. And so anyway, I got the opportunity to come here through her death. I came here to come to her funeral. When I arrived in the United States, I met a friend. Her name is Teresa Robinson. We lived on Mount Vernon, 9th Avenue. And she had just graduated from high school. And she came to give her condolences and to say welcome to America.
Right.
And she was telling me about her graduation and that she had lost her mom, but she was still able to go to school. And she wished that the same for me to get an education and so on. And I was like, how did you afford going to high school? And you said your mother passed. And she said, it's high school. It's not college. It's just high school. And I was like, what do you mean? Because where I'm from, you have to pay to go to high school.
Wow.
And she said, oh no, in America, you don't have to pay to go to high school. You just matriculate from 8th grade, move on to 9th grade, and that's high school. And I was like, really? I said, okay, well, I'm not going back to Jamaica. I'm going to high school, because in Jamaica, I couldn't afford to get an education, a high school education, and a lot of the different reasons why I wasn't in high school. I was going to a secondary school, which is I don't think it's a comprehensive as, I don't know anyway, because I didn't go to high school in Jamaica, but I know it wasn't looked at as an equal education as the high school. Right. And so my heart was to get a great education. And so I said, oh my goodness, this is a great opportunity. I'm not letting this pass. Right. And I had the conversation with my grandmother and told her, Grandma, I'm not going back to Jamaica. I really want to stay and go to high school because it's free here.
Yeah. That's awesome. Is it still that way in Jamaica today, that you have to pay for high school?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Wow. I did not know that. That's something new for me, new information. We take for granted the things that we have in this country. Education is one of them that is most readily available. And gosh, if we could really understand the blessings that we have as being U.S. citizens, or having the ability to be here, work here, go to school here, it really is. It's a blessing, but we do take it for granted.
Yes, I believe that you can get high school education in Jamaica, but the quality of education will not be the same as if you were to pay for school. So yes, I'm not quite sure about how it's structured now, but I do know that when I was going, you had to pay,
right?
And we couldn't afford it.
Right. Okay. So now you're attending high school. Catch us up to what your experiences were. Talk a little bit about your adulthood and how the things that you experienced in your childhood really it shaped you as an adult, and when you started having your own children, and then kind of talk about how you transitioned from that into really understanding that look, I need to be more aware of me and more aware of my story, and there's some healing that I need to do. What was the turning point for you?
It was turmoil because I'm a teenager and I'm in high school. I don't have parents. I do have my aunts, but I'm now living in another busy house because my
Right.
mother died. She left 9 children now.
Right.
And I live with my aunt who has about 7 children. We
Wow.
all lived in the same house. So I'm back into chaos again. But anyway, I live in this house and I ended up getting pregnant. I'm now 15 years old. And they were like, "Girl, are you out of your mind? Do you see how many people live here? We're gonna go with another mouth, and what's gonna happen?"
Right.
And so, I couldn't stay there. My aunt told me, "If you want to stay here, you can't have this baby. There's no place for another. There's no room for another child." And so, if she told me, "If you don't have an abortion, you can't stay."
Wow.
And so I talked to my boyfriend and his family and left and went to live with them.
Wow,
At
good
first,
for you.
I didn't
Yeah.
know where I was going, but I remember after that meeting that my family had on the front porch, I picked up my bags, walked down the street to the payphone, called my boyfriend, and he said, come.
Yeah.
His family said, come. So we stayed with them until we had my boyfriend and I got our own basement apartment, and then we moved in together, and I had the baby. Moving in together was not easy. It was two young people. We were both teenagers. I had just turned 16 and he's 18, and we were trying to manage a home,
Right,
all the
right, right.
responsibilities
Children
that you
raising
have
children,
as an
really.
adult. We
Yeah.
have as children, as
Yeah.
teenagers.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it was tough for us. It was really overwhelming is the word I would use to describe that
Right.
that time when I just had the baby. It's just overwhelming. We argued a lot. We couldn't decide, or not just decide. We couldn't agree on a lot of things
Right.
because we were both young, and
Right.
I had my baggage and he had his baggages,
Right.
and I had my self doubts and that overwhelming feeling of not belonging and not being wanted. And
Right.
so any little thing that or facts that collaborated that story, it was like, oh, I see. Okay, so this is not going to work because. So it was very tough.
Yeah.
It was a tough time. And it also led me to a very sad period of my life. I was super sad and didn't know what was going on, wasn't quite sure. And then I lived that sad life for a long time because I wasn't told that I had depression until I was 27, and I started feeling that overwhelming sadness early on.
Wow.
After I had my baby, I started feeling like, oh, this is not working out. This relationship is not working out. Nothing is working out.
Yeah.
And
How bad did your depression get? Did you ever feel like that? Just kind of talk about how deep did that get for you?
So the depression got so bad, I wanted to not wake up. Those were my thoughts. I don't want to wake up anymore. I just want to drive over a bridge. I don't want this life to continue because I feel hopeless. I feel like nothing is going to change. I'm always going to be arguing
Right.
with my boyfriend or at the time, and just feeling like I'm never going to be able to provide for these children. I'm never going to have the education that I want. I'm never going to move from this spot to anything else. I couldn't see anything else.
Yeah. And a lot of people out there right now are feeling that way. They're in their situation. They're in the middle of it. And so many people do. They feel hopeless. But Denise, you have been able to experience the good, the bad, and the ugly, and you have been able to find restitution within yourself, and you have been able to stand on all of your experiences, and now you are doing amazing things. I want to talk about those in just a moment. Is there anything else that you want to maybe mention about your experience that has led you or helped you to get to where you are today?
So I just want to say that for the people that are going through the hopelessness now,
Mm-hmm.
if you can just hold on, if you can just hold on till tomorrow,
Yeah.
because each day there are good people out there.
Yes.
There are really good people out there, despite the people that don't want to see you live, or don't want to see you better, or don't care about you. They don't acknowledge whatever struggles you're going through.
Right.
It doesn't matter. There's a God,
Mm-hmm.
and he's always in charge.
Yes.
And believe that God is in charge, and believe that he's working even the things that you don't think is working for you.
That's right.
Believe that he will work these things in your favor.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
when you can just hold on, because you don't know. I remember I didn't have any hope. I didn't have any plans. I didn't have anything.
Right.
But I remember meeting with my pastor, and he said, hold on and create a plan.
Create a plan.
And forgive the people that has hurt you.
Yeah.
Because if you can't forgive the people that are wicked and evil and hurtful and that have hurt you,
Right.
if you can't forgive them, you're killing yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no hope for you. So
That's true.
hold on.
Yeah.
God is still in charge.
Yeah.
And there is hope in a plan. No matter how brief the plan is, even if the plan is to hold on till tomorrow,
Yep.
hold on till tomorrow.
Yeah, you take it one day at a time, and that's a great tip and tool that we want to give to our listeners. Is that if you're dealing with something right now, man, don't worry about next week or next month. You live in the moment, and you make it through the moment, and you do it day by day. Life is a day by day journey, and things will get better. It will get better. One of the things that you've talked about that I was so impressed with was managing your emotions, and you had to get to that place where you learned how to manage your emotion. How does a person manage their emotions?
I'm going to quickly give you the acronym that I use, STAND, to help me get from a place of hopelessness to the place where I am today, feeling joy and peace and accepting the love and abundance that God has given me and granted me. So I began to share my story, and then I realized, there are so many people that have gone through worse than me. And then the T is for you to realize there are two sides to everything. No matter what bad is going on, look at the good around you.
There's
Look at
always
how
good.
people have rallied to help you and to make a difference and to help you move from one place. Like for me, from one place to the other, I still had so many great family members that helped me. So they were, good people, even though I was going through those terrible things. And then analyze your emotions. When you share your story, you will start to feel something, either sadness or anxiety or hatred or anger. Whatever you feel, don't put it in the back burner. Don't put it under the bed.
You have to deal with it, right?
Yes.
You
Talk
deal
to a
with it.
therapist about these feelings, because analyzing those emotions and learning how to manage your emotions, they will help you to get to a healthier part of your life. Then there's the N in the STAND acronym. The N is for you to nurture the positive side of the story, because the things that you say to yourself is more important than the things others has said to you.
Yeah. I've said that so many times, Denise, that, and we've talked about this, is nurturing your emotions, but your self-talk. And I've talked about this on other episodes, but your self-talk, what you say to yourself, how you say it to yourself is so important. And you have to have the ability, or you gotta really practice on changing your narrative of how you talk to yourself.
I can go on for days about how
Yeah.
affirmations will
Yeah.
help you
Yeah.
become the person you want to
Yeah.
become,
Yeah. Yeah.
because it's the saying and repeating those thoughts, the positive affirmations to
Yes.
yourself, that will help you start to create the habits
Yeah.
that will help you get to the life that you want to live.
Yes.
So
Yes.
yes, nurture a positive narrative, and then share your story, distribute your story, share your story, share
Hmm.
your story. There's someone else out there who needs your story to make the next move. Your
Yeah.
story is going to give them hope. Your story is going to inspire them. Your story is going to motivate them. Your story is the lifesaver that they are waiting for,
For sure.
just to be free from whatever it is that they're going through. So share your story and save a life.
Yeah. What's the last the letter? So the letter D. Talk about that definition just for a second.
D is for you to distribute your story.
Ah.
I so my great grandmother told me a story almost every night. Part
Yeah.
of my experience with her is learning how to tell a story.
Yeah.
And what I've learned is that when you distribute your story to others, it gives them hope and inspiration. So
Yeah.
I've created the Bold Publishing so that you can write a book and share it with the world. But let's say you don't have a book, share your story or distribute your story
Yeah.
orally on podcasts like
Yeah.
this one.
Yeah.
Life Talk Radio.
That's so awesome. I'm going to talk about your book here in just a moment, but first I'm going to talk about your show, Bold Book of the Day. Again, where you are providing a platform for authors to get their stories out, get their books published. One of the things that you said, it was a very pungent question, or poignant question, should I say? Make sure I'm pronouncing that word correctly. You said this. You said, "How will you get help if you're afraid to bring to the surface some of the pain that you've gone through?" That was such a gut punch question, but it is also really the key of healing and recovery.
Oh yes. So get it out there. Heal yourself
Yeah,
by just getting it out there. That's it. Because you're healing and you're using or serving others with the experiences that you've got, by
yeah,
giving them some tools and some tips of how did you get here? How
yeah,
did you get from desperation and hopelessness to here? Yes, I'm a doctor of nursing practice today. Yes, I have Bold Publishing. Yes, I'm in Forbes magazine and all these different wonderful platforms to share my message. But if I didn't decide to share my story, to
yeah,
distribute my book around the
yeah,
world, or to give people the tips and the tools that I've learned, then it would be all be in vain.
yeah.
So, I'm all of those things because I'm standing on my story today. I
So
didn't sit
beautiful.
down and hide, or I didn't, run and hide and say, "Oh, look at me, I'm a victim."
Yeah,
No, I say I'm victorious because
victorious.
despite those things that I've gone through, here I am today,
Yeah,
standing on my story with
standing on your story.
confidence and realizing that I'm giving life and giving hope and inspiration to others.
That's so awesome. So awesome. So talk about Bold Book of the Day. It's your podcast. Is there anything that stands out about that? Any stories that you recently covered? How can a person, if they are interested in that podcast, talk about it just for a second?
If you have written a book and you would like to share your message with the world, I have the Bold Book of the Day podcast. You
Yeah.
can send me an email at authordnicholson@gmail.com, or you can connect with me on Instagram at author Denise Nicholson.
That's so good. That's so good. So this
So
is
many great
remarkable.
stories, though. I've so many great stories
Yeah.
and poems and people who put together a book of poems that have been on my podcast.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can check it out.
Yeah. That's so awesome. You got to check out this podcast. It's beautiful. There's some great content there, and subscribe to her channel. You got to subscribe. Leave her a comment. Share the content. I want to talk about your book here in just a moment. It is amazing, amazing book. The title is Selah, When Mommy Left for Foreign. You really talk about some of the things that we've discussed today in our conversation about your personal story, but you also have these really powerful stories of other women that you've connected with in your book. You want to talk about that? Or do
Oh
you want people to
yes.
buy the book first?
Oh no, no, I'll get you. I'll give you some hints.
Okay.
So the stories here, 9 different stories, and each story is talking about a topic or topics that I stand on. So I that are important for me to share because of the stories I heard from women. So there's a story about a woman who lost her baby, who had a spontaneous abortion, and we don't talk about the the grieving period for women who's gone through that traumatic experience.
Yeah.
We don't talk about it enough. So I want us to embrace those women and talk about it and give them the time to grieve,
Yeah.
because I'm sure for a mother that just had a baby, she's got to go back to work in sometimes 6 weeks.
Right.
I'm sure this mother that just lost her baby, she had to go back to work right away.
Yeah.
We don't acknowledge enough the pain that a mother who has a spontaneous abortion go through. So we really want people to talk about it more, and so
Yeah.
that's why it's one of the stories in here.
Yeah.
And then so that's one of the, it's so many stories, but another story that is important topic for me to address, because I've spoken to so many women who were sexually traumatized by incest, and that's not addressed.
Right.
How devastating that can be, and I want us to just continue to talk more about it, give women a safe space to talk about their experiences, no matter
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah. That's so powerful. Those are things that people don't talk about. I'm pro-choice, or excuse me, I'm pro-life, and that's my personal belief. But there are people out there who have experienced abortion. They've experienced molestation and incest, and most of the time those things are covered up, and those are the wounds that lead us down a path of destruction. It leads us down paths of despair where no one really is going to understand. No one is going to, and listen, everybody is worth loving. Right, even through the mistakes that we've made, we're worth loving, and there's always forgiveness, and there's always a path of healing for no matter what you have gone through. And that book, your book, Selah, When Mommy Left for Foreign, is really addressing a lot of these issues.
Yes, women, we go through it. I'm sure men go through it
We
too,
do.
but I'm a little biased to what women go through and stand up
Yeah,
to help them.
yeah,
And I have a program knitted together. This is for the 8 years we have had an annual meeting where we talk about different ways to support mental health.
yeah,
And yeah, so we do that every single year for the past 8 years, and we will continue to do it because addressing mental health and giving you support in a safe space is really what makes the difference in our lives. Just having that support
for
and
sure.
getting to know that you can talk to somebody
Yeah,
about somebody that you trust
right.
to
That's
help
important.
you through the tough times and to help you dissect what has happened to you and how you can move on successfully.
Right, right. So you do that event once a year. Has it happened this year already, or when is the
Yes,
next
it's
event?
every June. We do it June
Okay.
every year for the past 8 years. So
Okay.
yes, it passed this year.
Okay, that's a beautiful thing. Thank you for doing that. So let's talk a little bit about your successes now. We've talked about your journey. You are in such an amazing place Denise. Dr. Denise Nicholson, one of the things that she is really proud about, among other things, is that she is a renowned TED Talk speaker. She travels the world speaking to women and men about her story. And why don't you talk about that just for a moment, because that's it's awesome.
I'm telling you, writing a book can really put you on so many different great stages. Meeting quality people like you,
Oh,
that's a positive consequence from writing this book. So
yeah,
I wrote this book, and it's literally brought so many great people into my life, and
yeah,
literally brought me around the world. So I just came back from the University of South Africa. In South Africa, I went to Cape Town and where else did we go? Johannesburg. We went to Johannesburg and Cape Town,
yeah,
and it was just a wonderful experience. I got that opportunity because I wrote this book,
because you wrote the
and
book.
so I was able to talk about my beliefs in standing on your story, and how your story can really help you to get to a different level of success in life if you use it as a catalyst to
Right.
propel you towards the things that you desire, or the things that can help you to have a healthy and strong mind.
Yeah. That's so good. And in this information age, so there's a rebirth of the information age, and it's really about people's personal stories. And a lot of times now, there's a way to not only help people through their journey, but you can also monetize your story, because people are looking for ways to overcome. And it's not all about making the money, but if you learn how to do this correctly, you can monetize your story, and at the same time help people also. Correct?
Of course. And you're not thinking about, so a lot of people say you monetize trauma, and it's
Yeah.
not monetizing
Right.
trauma.
Right.
It is monetizing the message of
Right.
hope and inspiration, and
Right.
the lessons that you've learned from going through those experiences. Because you're not just going around and telling people your story,
Right.
you're sharing with them how can you leverage what has happened to you
Right.
to make you reach other goals, aspire to different things, and how you can help other people
Yeah.
get through tough times.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that's underlining what it is. You've been through some things. How can I help you get to the other side?
Yeah.
The side of hope, the
Yeah.
side of positivity, the side of inspiration, the side, the side that says stand up for yourself, even if it means standing on your story,
Right.
especially when it means standing on your story.
Right, right, right. Yeah, that's so good, Denise. Because of the release of her book, and her sharing her experiences through her writings, Denise is the number one bestseller on Amazon for the country of Jamaica, and that is a huge accomplishment. Congratulations to you, a huge accomplishment. Congratulations to you on that on reaching that goal.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah,
I'm a multiple number one bestseller,
yeah,
and Sela is a number one bestseller. And if you have written a book and you want to, you know, put your message out there, just send me a message,
yeah,
authordnicholson@gmail.com, because if I've done it for me, I can certainly show you how
yeah.
to do it for you. And one of the most important things is to, when you're standing on your story, is to believe in yourself. No matter what you've gone through, believe in yourself, because
Believe.
without that belief, you can't change anything in the world.
That's so
So
true.
learn to stand on your story by believing in yourself.
Yeah, that's so powerful. I love that. One more thing I want to talk about before we wrap it up here is that you've partnered with Forbes Council magazine, and you're tackling topics like mental health and wealth for men and women in business. Do you want to talk about that? How can people find that work and maybe benefit from that as well?
So I talk, stand strongly about helping people with mental health, and that is why we have the forum knitted together that has that conference once a year. We do it in June, and if you want to learn more about how you can get support, you can go to knittedtogether.com, KNITTED
Yeah.
together.com, and you'll get, more information. Or you can just send me an email, authordnicholson@gmail.com, and I'll give you more information. Because maintaining a strong mental health is as important as maintaining your strong healthy body.
Yeah,
So
physical
you will
body.
go
Yeah.
to a doctor about your heart. If you have abdominal pain, if you have a headache gone on too long, you go to a doctor,
Yeah.
or you seek a practitioner's help. But I believe it is very important to maintain your mental health in the same way, and visit your therapist or someone that can help you, help you through your daily life. You don't have to have a traumatic relationship, or trauma in your life, or you don't have to have any of those issues.
Yeah.
Just go to a therapist,
Right.
because it's just like going to a physician once a year, or a
Right.
practitioner once a year,
Right.
to seek out how you can maintain a strong, healthy body.
Yeah.
How can you maintain a strong mental health?
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts in life, right? Especially when you start talking about wealth and being an entrepreneur, being in business. Man, there's so many moving parts to that. And even if you're not facing any issues, man, just having that resource of being able to talk through, the small little life's issues that we face, or even the big issues that we face in life. It's important that we talk about that. Denise, you're such a giving person. I know that you came here today with the free gift for the listeners. That's just who
Yes.
you are.
Oh, definitely. So, because you have listened to this podcast all the way to the end, I have a free gift just for you. You can join me and get I have a free masterclass every month. The next one is coming right up, but you can, if you are able to join me on Instagram, there's a link that I can give you, or send me an email at authordnicholson@gmail.com, and I'll send you the link so that you can get into this class. And in this free masterclass, I give you a lot of tips to help you write your book.
Yeah.
You can come to that class, leave, and write your own book on your own. So
That's so awesome.
that's my gift for you.
That's so awesome. And I'll also put that link right here in the link
Oh,
for
beautiful.
our channel as well, so they can reach you that way. Denise, you are so amazing. I'm telling you, you're so inspiring. I'm so pleased with my time with you today. I know that you've already, given them how to reach you, but one more time, just tell them where they can reach you. And if you want to connect with Denise about her book, if you want her to sign your book, if you want her to speak at any of your engagements, Denise is she's the perfect person for that. Denise, again, how can they reach you? So give them your social media platforms, please.
I'm on Instagram as author Denise Nicholson, Nicholson, and I'm on LinkedIn as Denise Nicholson. I'm on Facebook as Denise Nicholson, and the best place to reach me is via an email, authordnicholson@gmail.com.
You're so awesome. Thank you so much. Today, we're talking about leveraging your personal story. Again, listeners, we want to know what you thought about today's episode. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and let us know what stood out most for you today. Leveraging your story. You can do it. You have a story. You have value. Have a great day.